Welcome to Design 101 for non-designers. I guess you have asked yourself, why do some websites, products, things are more appealing than other ones? What is it that makes a difference? Can we really, bring out products that doesn't look good, that people kind of say, okay, well, there is something else out there that even looks better? What about web pages? These days with Facebook, with Explorer, with booking.com and so on. Great interfaces, great designs are out there. And even the government figures out, we can't carry on producing crappy websites and this. So it's actually important, and GDS and now even the US government actually figured out, well, design is very important. And also for us, our presentation, our proposal, all the things we actually produce, I'm sure the content is very professional, but the look and feel, the way we present it should also be professional. So what I want to do actually in this presentation is give you a couple of hints where we can actually improve and what can you choose and why does this color doesn't work with that color, which kind of type font you should use. And we're going to have a look at the CRAP test as well. The 4 basics of visual designs. All right, so dive into colors. You might remember the times at kindergarten, you had the watercolor kit. You could mix red and blue and it became purple. You mixed blue and yellow and it became green, and you mixed yellow and red and there was orange. So this way of having colors playing together, come out of one another. That's the basic of the color circle. And to make decisions on which colors we should pick, actually, we should defer, or we should reference to that circle and say, actually, okay, which one work together? So the easiest version of it, and sorry for my alignment problem, it seems that the slides are too big for that projector. So that means monochrome at the top. So you choose one color and you do a variation of shades on it. That's more or less the easiest way. It tends to be kind of a bit dull, but still it's simple, elegant, and it's kind of unity. And you can actually use some contrast colors like black or white to actually give it a more contrast. As I said, they tend to be a bit dull. If you go for an analogous, that's quite a hard one for me, analogous selection, you normally try to select colors next to each other. They work quite nicely together, they give a kind of a natural flow, they give a kind of a sense of unity. And quite often, and Neil told me that, so interior designers actually do that for laying out their furniture, their carpet, their sofa and stuff like this. And you can actually give it a touch by actually choosing one color and the opposite for the cushions as an example. It gives quite of a nice touch. No, we don't see it on this sides here. Yeah, that's a nice version as well. Also have a look. This one is a bit warmer on that side. You can actually go to that side, it's a bit colder, so you can actually play with the colors. But always choose the ones quite next to each other. Complementary is something like red and green. We know that from the ample system. Stuff that is kind of dynamic, has some tension, beer, whatever, everything that's kind of important to see the difference works quite well, quite nice with this color composition. So sometimes you need to make one a bit less in saturation, that it works nicely with each other. So now, how do you choose actually your colors? Well, quite often companies have their color schema. So Sulke has one, ITV has one, I guess HMRC, yeah, of course. GDS has one, quite a strong one as well. But you can also go to Adobe Cooler. It's a website, and you can actually pick a color, and then it creates you one. So that's probably monochrome one here. You can actually choose another one and say, okay, show me complementary and so on. There are a lot of color schemas on colorlovers.com. So you type in, okay, I was looking for some baby colors, and you see a lot of schemas that have a bit of a baby touch. Now, I'm as a new father, I was interested in maybe a blog for my little daughter. So what I also could do on Cooler, you could put on your picture that you think, okay, it's quite appealing, has some kind of works for me, looks nice, huh? Somehow the colors, they fit together, and Cooler creates you the color schema out of that. I could actually now fit my colors on the block this way. So when in doubt, ask Adobe, ask Cooler. All right? Good then. So typography, that's another topic, and you know, it's like crazy. If you ask a proper typographist, he talks about these things like those are his children. You know, oh, look at the mean line that font has, and look at the beautiful serifs that I've just created, or how appealing is that baseline of that font, and so on. So it's a really interesting area as well. I just picked a couple of them. Hopefully the most important, you correct me if I'm wrong. So the most common one, or the earliest one, was the old style. It was more or less based on the handwriting of the scribes. So before was humanist, that was done by hand. The first letter printers were the old styles. They always have the serifs. So there's like the calligraphy's pen set on the top, and then also on the baseline. And that's actually quite a good font if you have a lot of body copy to read, a lot of text that actually people should read, because your eye can actually follow like a line. Probably your Kindles, your e-readers all have this kind of fonts applied, and it's really easy. Nothing is disturbing you from reading through it. Very common, Georgia. I think it's from a British designer. All New York Times, Washington Post, the Times as well. Even GDS is using Georgia for body text. That's a really good font to use. Times New Roman. Garamond.
One of the oldest typefaces.
Yeah. Do I have it on there as well? That's missing. Yeah. Right. Then as time passed, the Industrial Revolution came along, steel, steam, and all these kind of strong aspects came along as well, and they found their way in typography as well. And you see they look almost like steel bridges up here, very thin lines, very thick lines in contrast. And this kind of modern, they're not so modern anymore, but this type fonts, they work very well in big letters. So we wouldn't necessarily use them for body text, but for titles. The Vogue has that as a title on it, and other magazines as well. Then a very common one is the sans serif. So you don't have this serifs anymore. We all know Arial, Helvetica, and so on. They were actually initially a bit introduced into our life because the screen resolutions were too low, so you couldn't really make out these serifs anymore. So that's quite well accepted in the digital media, and it's also quite good in small texts. But please keep your fingers from Arial and Helvetica. They are so often used. They are somehow outworn. Having said that, Apple changes his font from Lucida Grande to Neue Helvetica. It's makes me somehow proud. Neue Helvetica is a Swiss designer who created it, and the new one seems to be much better for Retina display. So let's see. As soon as Yosemite is out there, have a look at the beautiful new Swiss designed. It's quite an old one, yeah, but it's there. I think GDS is using Chill Sans, also quite a popular font, and let's say web pages that doesn't have that much on themselves, they probably use Arial or Helvetica. And then we have the display fonts, one of another big chapter. Yeah, they're fun, they have somehow distinctive meaning and so on, but they're not really good if you have to read a lot of text. It's probably not so appealing, it's not so easy readable. It's more for headlines as well. Right, so there's a good source out there, Google Fonts. They have even a lot of open source fonts as well. Typecast is a great source to look up fonts. And then Google Fonts has a nice feature as well. So I was looking for my baby blog. I've chosen a kids script font, and I wanted to actually choose or figure out what would actually work quite nicely with it. So the title would be the Butterfly Kids, and here I would have a sans serif font, then it's called Multi, that would quite nicely work together. So it's actually important that we don't mix and match too much. Have one for the title and have the variation of one other in the body text. Have different sizes of it, have different thicknesses of it, make it bold, make it italic. Also, that web page is quite nice. They actually combine the open fonts from Google there, and you see beautiful how they work together. They have a lot of examples on there. We already from Sulke have the Sulke font, yeah, use that. ITV has one as well, a dedicated one. Other company might have that as well. But if in doubt, go to Google Fonts to look up some new stuff. So then, the last bit is actually the CRAP test. And those are the 4 essentials of graphical design. Hopefully that's right. So it's about contrast. Elements that are different, make them different. That should stand out. Repetition. If you have visual elements, repeat them. That creates a kind of a unity throughout your presentations, throughout your product. Alignment. So if stuff is just ordinary, somehow on a piece of paper, on a website, it's kind of a strange thing. Try to align stuff. And then proximity, stuff that belongs together, place it together. So a couple of examples. Contrast. Yes, differences you can show by different typefaces, size, colors, and so on. And you probably, it's not really sharp here at the front, so the contrast, you probably can't even read that up there. It's very, very bad. Everything is a bit in gray shade. There isn't much variation in terms of size, of boldness and so on. It's quite hard. It's much better here. You see bold, stronger, contrasty text that's readable and that's really appealing. And we just at ITV, we actually have a couple of colorblind people, so it's actually very important that the contrast works for them as well, that they actually see that. So check your next product, your next presentation, is the contrast all right? Then repetition, very good example is Pecha Kucha. They have kind of elements on them. That one is in the background as well. We can't see it on that screen, but at least that element here, this 20 multiple 20, this bracket in pink, that repeats itself throughout the presentation. And also the layout is repeating itself. It's always this block within that has a text in it. So use this kind of elements as well. If you have something playful that repeats itself through your slide deck, that's very great. Use the same color schema to repeat things. We have that as well. We just had a discussion that a color that's on the first screen and that means something, in our case, reserved time for programs, that color should repeat itself on another screen in exactly the same way. So it's kind of recognizable that's there again, and it means the same. That's an important aspect. Then alignment. I probably can actually pick every slide deck or presentation we have. I could have picked the one yesterday, and we have that as well. The problem a bit with our Sulke presentation is you quite quickly can spot alignment mistakes, right? Because you have these strong guides down here, and they give you kind of even alignment there. you already see, okay, well, it's probably not aligned here. Here's something wrong, huh? Here the text is not aligned. So next time, it's quite easy in PowerPoint to align pictures, to align text, and to kind of form a unity of stuff that's appealing, that belongs to somehow to a unity of elements. And quite often we use center alignment, but I would say actually more sophisticated designs don't use that. Even remember the time you started to, add stuff up. It would be bad to have 10 and then 115 center aligned under each other. Huh? You can't really sum it up. So it has to be right-centered or right side aligned that you can sum it up. So that's a bit a rule. If you try to achieve a bit more sophisticated design, I just say, okay, left or right aligned. You have to make a conscious decision if you go for center alignment. Right? And then proximity. So if you look at my do-it-yourself card here, you probably jump first on the name because it's bold. But then, oh wow, he's already lead consultant. Woo. He works for Sulke. Okay, Christian. Okay, he has a phone number, email, and here's a bit of an address, right? Okay, well, but if I send him a letter, okay, what's missing? The Sulke. Okay, well, I put it together, huh? So a couple of things are wrong with that card. First of all, the stuff is laying around in an ordinary way. It doesn't really belongs together. So our design is much better. So we have our name, we have our function, we have the telephone number, contact information on here. It's properly aligned as well. Then we have the address on that side, also aligned. And really, the stuff that belongs together fits together or is at the same place. And also Sulke repeats its pattern, the 3 lines here and the logo throughout the design. That's really good. Yeah, so with these 3 things, making conscious decision about colors, so using the color wheel, cooler, making a bit of decisions about typography, so headers in this fancy color or in these fancy types, body text, either an old style or a sans serif, that would be good. And then apply your crab test to your next presentation, to your next product. I think that's really great, and that really makes the professional work we already do even more appealing and even more professional looking. All right, that's about design 101. Go ahead and check your work this afternoon if it's properly aligned. Go back on my slides if they're properly aligned, have a look. Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot for coming. Thank you.